Hey guys, Zach at the Path Bike Shop. Today we're going to be unboxing and building the new Pivot Shuttle LT. Despite these lock rings saying 40 Newton meters, we're usually taking to German torque, good and tight. Cool, seats on, bike's fully assembled now. Now we've got to go through and get everything finalized, adjusted, and tuned up, ready for the sales floor. Alrighty, we are all finished up, got everything dialed in. Now it's time to go take it outside and take out a little test spin.
All right, so you just built up the new Shuttle LT?
Yes, yeah, new Shuttle LT built up. We have medium and a large. Got to spin that thing out in the parking lot. Actually shocked that I felt comfortable on the large, which all the numbers say I shouldn't, but it actually felt pretty good. The medium probably still makes more sense for the reach numbers.
I rode it around in the parking lot too. That race motor is heavy.
The race motor, compared to the previous Gen 4 Performance CX, is incredibly powerful, and it's very similar to the new output of the Gen 5 motor too.
I feel like it's not as smooth, but maybe comes on even a little bit harder.
I think so. That was kind of my experience with it too. When we were going out from the back lot, I thought I was going to hit the wall because it took off so fast. I wasn't expecting it to.
I was pretty impressed with how easy the front wheel comes off the ground.
For the size of that bike, the fact that it's sub 50 pounds is kind of awesome.
Wait, is it sub 50 pounds?
49.7.
I did not know that. Someone else I thought had mentioned a higher weight. That's really good.
It depends what build you get, of course, but I believe it's the medium Pro XO is listed at 49.7 pounds. So it's right there at that 50 pound mark. But compared to a lot of other stuff out there in a similar travel range, that's very light, which is really awesome to see. I'm glad to see that Pivot finally embracing the mixed wheel platforms. I mean, it sells very well.
And a lot of people just keep coming in with the same checklist. They want enduro e-bike with Bosch and mixed wheels, and we really didn't have tons of options before.
Not really. You had the Norco Range VLT, which ticked a lot of boxes, but those were extremely heavy and very limited production run. Like, there's not very many of those out there. Those are difficult to get.
Like 10 pounds heavier almost.
About 10, yeah. I believe the C1 medium, or the S3 that we had, that bike weighed about 58.7 pounds, I think, somewhere right around there.
Right.
So it considerably heavier with the same battery and a similar motor.
And I think kind of my standard pick up the front wheel effort, picked the front wheel up on that bike about 4 inches, and this bike is like 12 inches.
Right. Like not looping out, of course, but it would be a lot easier too on this.
Just kind of a standard, like I'm gonna just kind of like pick up, not like a huge, but just kind of like I'm picking up my front wheel, putting an effort in, like I'm gonna bunny hop.
For sure.
And like on that Range VLT, the front wheel would barely come off the ground unless I smashed the fork down and timed it.
Had to preload the whole thing.
Hard.
Yeah, it's a lot more effort.
Yeah.
I think another cool thing with the LT is the outgoing version was sold only as 29, but they did list it as mixed wheel compatible if you wanted to do a couple of changes to do that. The new version is sold as mixed wheel, but it's fully 29 compatible too. So if you wanted to throw a larger wheel on, if that's your preference, the frame does have clearance for that. You just throw it into low position to maintain a fairly similar geo.
Yep. What are the other highlights that jump out at you? I guess the 750 battery.
750 battery, so you got a ton of range there. You do have the option of getting a range extender with it. That's 250 watt hours. That puts you right at 1,000.
We have those right now.
Yep, we do have a bunch of those in stock, so that's super rad. There is also an upgrade option from Pivot with the LTs for an extra, I believe it's 1,500 retail. You can get it with the new Fox Neo live valve.
And you've been riding that.
I have one of those personally, and you'd have to pry it out of my cold dead fingers. I love that shock. It's so good.
I haven't seen you this excited about a shock in a while.
It's been a long time, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, maybe we should order one with a live valve. And it's kind of interesting. Even the lower, like the entry-level ride builds, are still coming with the race motor.
Yeah, every build, all three builds, the Ride, Pro, and the Team, all coming with the race motor, which is super rad to see because, I mean, those used to be super exclusive where we were getting emails of, hey, we're gonna have a limited edition bike coming out. We only have 25 of these motors, a super limited production run, and now it's on all of them. It's really, really nice to see.
What do you think of the 2.6 rear tire and the 2.4 front tire?
When I was riding mixed wheel bikes years ago, that was honestly kind of my preferred setup. It was nice to have that extra little bit of traction, plus that 2.6 does get you a little bit of increased diameter compared to a similar 2.4 tire, which is kind of nice. And I feel like for a lot of these e-bikes in that travel range, that enduro mixed wheel category, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and I think for me, how I think of it, the big wheel floats around more, which I'm good with that. I like that on the rear wheel. I like my rear wheel to be a little drifty.
Right.
But the 2.4 has almost that like pizza cutter traction.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't float around.
Right.
And I like that on the front wheel. So
yes, that setup works really well on that bike.
Where the whole tire is knifing in to make traction as opposed to just the knobs.
Yeah, more cutting in as opposed to grabbing.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Anything else jump out at you about the bike?
It's coming with all the new 2025 Fox suspension. So you're gonna get the Grip X2 on the front. Not much has changed with the rear shock, some small updates here and there, but it also does have the 2025 transfer seat post, which is a good bit lighter than the outgoing transfer post. Way easier to service at home if that's what you wanted to do. Travel adjustable, yep, exactly.
Lower collar height. Really cool. I think the new fork and the new dropper post from Fox they both seem like big steps forward.
Huge steps forward, yeah. The fact they actually reduced price of the retail price on the post too. You don't see that very often anymore.
Yeah. So it comes with 160 cranks, which I thought was cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Geo's the same as the last model?
Nearly the same. There's a couple of very small changes here and there to account for the different wheel size spec from factory, but overall it's nearly identical Geo. The medium has a reach of, I believe it's 471 millimeters. And then the large, I think is 491 right there.
A lot of reach.
Yeah, big medium, big large, but for a lot of riders, I think that's actually something that they're missing that they might not realize.
I think both you and I are suddenly getting used to like a 10 millimeter longer reach.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to the beginning of the conversation.
That S3 sizing, or is it S4?
I was always used to like 450 is kind of normal for a medium and 460 is kind of long. And all of a sudden 460 is kind of normal and 470 is kind of long.
Agreed.
And I can run 470 and now for you it's 480 and 490.
100%. And depending on the bike manufacturer, that may be a large, maybe a medium, or S3, S4 if certain brands are using that. But yeah, that 470 mark I think is really hitting a lot of boxes for both of us.
I agree. Awesome. Thanks.